Hi, welcome to Springer's Adventures. Frank here. So just wanted to say, first off, I wanted to apologize if the sound doesn't sound all that great. Down here in Central Florida, it's a little over 100 degrees inside the shop. So the fans are running. So if you have any questions, you can't hear me just right, by all means, just drop a comment below. I'll help you out the best I can. So I hope this video helps you out. Check it out. Well, ran into a little bit of a pickle here on the Shovelhead. Let me show you what's going on. So as you can tell, the stud broke off, taking the exhaust manifold off as we took the back one off there so I could rebuild the master cylinder. So there's a little bit of it sticking out there. I mean, just a little bit. So I think I'm gonna take a nut, grind the threads out and see if we can't weld a nut onto there and back this sucker out. Let's give it a shot. So I'm going to take a nut and drill the threads out on the 1940s old Atlas of mine. Let's give it a shot. All right, so we got the threads drilled out of there. Just got to figure out how to hold that on there so I can get the MIG gun in there. Let's see how creative I can come up with something. All right, so I got a little magnet holding that there, put it at an angle. Looks like it's holding it up there. Let's see if it'll hold it in place where I can get a little bit of a weld on there to get it stuck before I really get into it. All right, let's let it cool down a second and see how we make out. No luck. Let's try that again. All right, second time's a charm. I drilled the nut back out, turned the heat up just a little bit. Let's give it a shot. All right, we're gonna let it cool down a second. I'm hoping that heat penetrates through that stud. Let's give it a shot. Nah, no luck again. All right, so for this third one, I went with a little bit narrow, a little bit smaller nut I drilled out. Maybe that'll help some, I don't know. Trial and error. just does not seem to be working. All right, so a friend of mine suggested a washer first. He said put a washer on the stud, weld the stud to the washer, and then put the nut onto that. So I'm not going to bother showing you how to weld again, so let's give this a shot. Well, now it broke off flush with the head. So I guess now the only option, because that didn't work, is to build up that little bit of stud here, and kind of like a nipple on it, let it come out some, and then we'll try putting a nut on there. Let's give that a shot. All right, so when all else fails after about 9 attempts and you're getting frustrated, you throw it back in the back of the trailer and bring it over to a buddy of yours who's a hell of a lot better welder than you are. And I thought I was a decent welder, but hey, so let's go give this a shot. All right, so I'm not gonna bore you with more weldings. The bottom line is that my buddy welded on about 7 more nuts, and every one of them broke off, breaking deeper into the head each time. So at this point, he says, hey, I have this fluted bolt extractor. These things are great. He uses them on LS motors. If you guys are familiar with the Chevy LS motor, the heads are aluminum and the exhaust to go in there are steel. So it's very common on them as well. So he says, let's drill it out, and we'll put one of them in there and see if we can get this out this way. So I'll follow along. Wow.
I don't know. Maybe. I hope not. Maybe it was the bolt.
There you go.
It works. It's spinning. Yeah, it's spinning inside there.
Spinning inside of it?
Yeah. We'll just try to pull that extractor out. I don't want to break it off in there.
So as you can tell, no luck with the extractor. So what? Back to the house we go. So at this point, I went ahead and I did order some Healy coils. But when I'm sitting there at my shop looking at it, and I noticed that I could still start to see a little bit of a thread inside there. So I says, you know what? Before I go any further and drill it out to the Healy coil size, maybe if I take a really small chisel and start to chisel that little piece out, maybe I'll be able to grab some threads. And if I can pick up a thread or two, maybe I'll start to clean the other ones out. So let's see how this goes. All right, I know it's kind of hard to see at this angle, but I actually was able to get most of it out of there, and I was able to pick most of it out with a little pick and a screwdriver and a little bit of everything there, but I'm seeing some threads. Trying to catch the angle there, so I'm going to try putting a tap and see if I can't catch those threads, and let's go in from there. Let's give it a shot. Keep your fingers crossed. So for some reason I can't find a 5/16 bottoming tap, so I do have a taper tap. I'm going to start with that, but I'm going to go ahead and measure the inside distance of that hole first, because I surely don't want to punch through it. So let's see if we can't make something up for that. So I stuck this really thin screwdriver up in there, and I marked it with a piece of tape so I know how far to go up there. I'm going to do the same thing with this tap now. I'm going to go ahead and mark it off so I make sure not to go that far up in there, and then I'll grab a hold of the bottoming tap, I guess, tomorrow. Of course, always put a little bit of oil in your tap, and what not better to use some of that old trusty 3-in-1 oil. Alright, so if you don't have a bottoming tap, which you do have a couple of taper taps, try to get that to focus, what do? You take one of your extra tapering taps and put it to a grinder and flatten it out there, and that way get in there without punching through the cylinder or the head. It's the last thing you want to do. So let's give this a shot. So as you can see, I was able to get, like I said, I went in there with the taper tap first, was able to catch a couple threads, went down in there. Now I'm taking this other tap that I kind of cut off the bottom of it, made my own little bottoming tap for it, and I ran it in and out a couple times, and we've had good success. Looks like I got good threads in there. So I'm going to pull it back out, and I'm going to try putting a stud in there, see how it fits. So I got these studs that you can put an Allen wrench in there, and looks like it fits in nicely.
nice and tight. And I like that you could put the Allen wrench on there, because I figured once I put the exhaust back on, you could hold it and you could tighten the nut down on there real good. And if you ever need to get it back off, of course, you could hold the stud with an Allen wrench and then back the nut off. So anyways, that was success for the day. By far the hardest thing I've done in a long time, trying to get a bolt out, but hey, was able to succeed. Didn't have to pull the head off, because that was the next thing we were gonna do. So anyways, I hope this helps some people. Hopefully you can get it off by just welding a nut on there first off, instead of having to go to the extreme here. But if you're careful, you can drill it out. And like I said, I only drilled it up to the depth size of a 5/16 if you're going to drill it out to tap at that. And then I was able to get in there with like a little chisel and start to get parts of the thread out of there. And thank God I was able to get it out. Had a couple threads at the beginning. Was able to start a taper tab down there, and I just kept going in a little at a time and was able to pull the rest of the crap out of the threads there. So thanks so much again for watching, and appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. And hey, getting close. Maybe see me out on the road on the shovel. See ya.